Stop making mistakes that hold you back from growth. Never be the same. Introduction. Every day you're making decisions that shape your future, whether you realize it or not. The small choices you make, the habits you form, and the actions you take or don't take all compound over time, either pushing you forward or keeping you stuck in place. The hard truth is that many of the mistakes holding you back aren't big, obvious failures. They're quiet, insidious errors, small things that you may not even recognize as obstacles. These mistakes, however, have a powerful impact, keeping you from reaching your full potential. Success is the sum of small efforts, repeated day in and day out. Robert Collier. This quote holds the key to real growth. It's not the one-time bursts of motivation or sporadic moments of hard work that lead to lasting success. It's the small, consistent actions you take each day that build the foundation for growth. If you're stuck in a cycle where you're not seeing progress, it's often because of unnoticed habits that are working against you. You might be doing the work, but you're not doing it in a way that brings results. This is where many people go wrong. They work harder, but they don't work smarter. This book isn't about offering quick fixes or temporary solutions. It's about real, sustainable change. It's about identifying the subtle mistakes that are sabotaging your growth, addressing them head-on, and making better, more informed choices each day. It's about taking ownership of your life and shifting the small but powerful behaviors that have been holding you back from the success and fulfillment you deserve. As we move through the chapters, you'll uncover the hidden traps that most people fall into, the comfort zone, perfectionism, distractions, self-doubt, and more, and learn how to break free from them. You'll also discover how to build the habits and mindset that will set you on a path of continual growth. This isn't just about self-improvement, it's about a complete transformation of how you think, act, and grow. By the end of this book, you'll no longer be the person who makes the same mistakes over and over again. You'll have a clear roadmap to follow, with actionable steps to take every day that will move you closer to the person you want to become. The journey to growth and success doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with commitment and consistency. If you're ready to stop letting your mistakes define you, and you're prepared to unlock the potential that's been waiting inside you, this book is your guide. Get ready to stop making the same mistakes that have held you back and to never be the same again. Chapter 1. The Biggest Mistake. Thinking you have more time. Time moves quietly. It never makes a sound, never asks for permission, never warns you before it's gone. One moment, you're looking ahead, thinking you have years to figure things out. Then, before you know it, you're looking back, wondering where it all went. People assume they have plenty of time to start that business, to fix their health, to mend relationships, to chase their dreams, but time is the one thing you can't bargain with. It doesn't care about your plans, your hesitations, or your excuses. Most people live as if they have an endless supply of days, putting off important things for some undefined later. Later when they have more money. Later when they feel more prepared. Later when they're less afraid. But later is a lie. It's an illusion that fools people into thinking they can afford to wait. Every day that passes without action is a day stolen by hesitation, and when they finally wake up to this truth, it's often too late. Think about all the things you've told yourself you'd do someday. That book you wanted to write, the fitness goals you set, the business idea that's been sitting in your head for years. What happened? Chances are, life got in the way. Responsibilities, distractions, comfort, all of them worked together to keep you exactly where you are. You thought you had more time, but in reality, you were just postponing your potential. The biggest regret people have isn't failing, it's never trying in the first place. When you wait too long, doors close, opportunities fade. What could have been a successful career, a strong body, a fulfilling life, turns into a collection of missed chances. And the worst part, you don't even realize it's happening until it's too late to change it. If you ask anyone who has achieved great things, they'll tell you the same thing. They didn't start when they felt ready. They started when they realized waiting was no longer an option. They understood that the perfect time would never come. There would always be doubts, always be reasons to wait, always be obstacles in the way. But the difference between them and everyone else is that they acted despite those things. Success isn't about luck, talent, or being in the right place at the right time. It's about recognizing that time is limited and using every second with purpose. Most people overestimate how much time they have in the future and underestimate how much they can do right now. They assume they'll have decades to change, but the truth is, life is unpredictable. No one knows how much time they really have. The only thing guaranteed is this moment, and what you do with it. When you put something off, you're not just delaying the action, you're delaying the results, the lessons and the opportunities that come with it. Every day you don't start is another day you won't see progress. The workout you skip today is a healthier body you won't have in the future. The business idea you ignore is a financial breakthrough that may never come. The skill you keep meaning to learn is an opportunity that stays out of reach. People think they need more time to prepare, but action is what prepares you. Growth doesn't happen while you're standing still. It happens when you step forward, even when you don't feel ready. The sooner you move, the sooner you improve. The sooner you start, the sooner you learn. Everything you're waiting to become, stronger, smarter, more successful, only happens when you begin. Look around at the people who stay stuck in the same cycle year after year. They talk about what they want to do but never actually do it. They make resolutions every new year, but quit after a few weeks. They tell themselves they'll start once things calm down, once they feel more motivated, once circumstances are better. But those better circumstances never come because progress isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create. The reality is, no one ever looks back and thinks, "I wish I had waited longer." They think the opposite. They wish they had started sooner, taken more chances, stopped hesitating. The only people who succeed in life are the ones who refuse to wait for the right time. They understand that hesitation is just a fancy word for fear. They stop thinking and start doing. Your future is being decided right now, whether you realize it or not. The habits you form today, the risks you take, the things you choose to prioritize, all of them shape where you'll be years from now. The version of you in 5 years will either thank you for taking action or regret that you didn't. And that's a decision only you can make. Right now, at this moment, you have the choice to break the cycle of waiting. You can either continue living as if time is unlimited, or you can treat every day like it's the only chance you have. Because in a way it is. There are no guarantees. There's only what you do with the time you have. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who sit around thinking about it. They're the ones who take the first step, even when they're unsure, even when they're afraid. They don't wait for motivation to strike. They create momentum through action. They don't spend their time overthinking. They spend it doing. If you're waiting for the right moment, this is it. Not tomorrow, not next week, not next year. Right now, there's something in your life that you've been delaying. You know what it is. It's the thing that keeps coming back into your mind, the goal you keep pushing off, the dream you keep telling yourself you'll chase later. But later is a lie. Later doesn't exist. The only way to guarantee progress is to start today. Even if it's a small step, even if you don't feel ready, even if you don't know exactly how it will work out. Action creates clarity. Waiting creates regret. And at the end of the day, the choice is simple. You can either live with excuses or live with results. But you can't have both. Chapter 2. The Comfort Zone Trap. How it silently destroys you. There's a place where dreams go to die, where ambitions slowly fade, where people settle for less than they're capable of. It's a place that feels safe, predictable, and easy. It asks nothing of you except that you stay exactly as you are. That place is the comfort zone, and if you're not careful, it will steal your potential without you even realizing it. Most people don't recognize when they've fallen into its grip. They tell themselves they're doing fine, that life isn't so bad, that they don't really need to push for more. They mistake comfort for happiness, routine for progress, and familiarity for security. But in reality, nothing stays the same forever. You're either growing or you're slowly declining, whether you see it happening or not. The reason the comfort zone is so dangerous is that it doesn't feel like a trap. It feels warm and familiar, like a soft bed on a cold morning. It convinces you that taking risks isn't worth it, that failure is too painful, that effort is unnecessary. It tells you that you can always try later, that there's no rush, that where you are now is good enough. But what it never tells you is that staying still is its own kind of failure. The people who refuse to step beyond what's familiar end up watching life pass them by. It starts small. You avoid discomfort by staying in the same job, even though you're unhappy. You stop challenging yourself to learn new things because you don't want to struggle. You surround yourself with people who think just like you because it's easier than being challenged. Over time, these small decisions add up, and before you know it, years have passed, and you're in the same place, wondering why nothing has changed. Growth only happens when you force yourself to do things that make you uncomfortable. It's in the moments when you feel out of your depth, when you don't know what you're doing, when you're uncertain and afraid, that's where real progress happens. Every successful person has one thing in common: they made peace with discomfort. They understood that being uncomfortable isn't a sign to stop, it's a sign that they're moving in the right direction. People who achieve great things weren't born with more confidence or natural talent. They simply got used to pushing through the fear and doubt that comes with doing something new. They understood that discomfort isn't a barrier, it's a doorway. Every challenge, every moment of uncertainty, every time they felt like quitting, they pushed forward instead of stepping back. That's what separates those who reach their full potential from those who never do. The mind is wired to resist change. It wants to keep you safe, to protect you from pain and failure. But the problem is, it doesn't understand the difference between real danger and imagined fear. It reacts to stepping outside of your comfort zone the same way it would to a life-threatening situation. Your heart races, your thoughts try to convince you to stop, your body tenses up. But the truth is, discomfort won't kill you. Avoiding it will. Every major breakthrough in life happens on the other side of a challenge. The first time you speak in front of a crowd, you'll be nervous. The first time you step into a gym, you'll feel out of place. The first time you start a new project, you'll have no idea what you're doing. But if you keep going, those same things that once terrified you will become second nature. What once felt impossible will become normal, and your comfort zone will expand. Think about the times you've grown the most in life. It wasn't when everything was easy. It was when you were pushed beyond what you thought you could handle, when you had to dig deep, figure things out, and rise to the occasion. That's where confidence is built, not by avoiding challenges, but by overcoming them. Confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you earn through experience. If you never step beyond what's familiar, you'll never know what you're truly capable of. The people who change the world, who live extraordinary lives, who inspire others, they weren't fearless. They felt the same doubts, the same hesitation, the same discomfort. The only difference is they didn't let it stop them. They walked through the fear, knowing that growth comes at a price. There will always be a voice in your head telling you to stay where it's safe. It will try to convince you that now isn't the right time, that you're not ready, that failure is too risky. But if you listen to that voice, you will spend your life playing small. You will look back years from now and wonder what could have been if only you had been willing to take a chance. No one ever reaches the end of their life and wishes they had played it safer. They wish they had tried, even when they were uncertain. They wish they had taken more chances, even when the outcome was unclear. They wish they had believed in themselves enough to go after the things that mattered. If you feel like you're stuck in the same place, ask yourself, when was the last time you did something that made you uncomfortable? When was the last time you pushed yourself beyond what was easy? Growth isn't something that happens by accident, it's a choice. A choice to face fear instead of running from it, to take action instead of making excuses, to bet on yourself instead of settling for less. The only way to escape the comfort zone trap is to start doing the things that scare you. Start small if you have to. Speak up in a meeting, try a new skill, say yes to an opportunity that makes you nervous. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. The goal isn't to be fearless, it's to learn how to move forward despite the fear. You have two options: stay where it's safe and comfortable, or step into the unknown and see what you're truly capable of. One path leads to regret, the other to growth. The choice is yours. Chapter 3. The Self-Sabotage Cycle. Why you fail before you even begin. There's a pattern that keeps people stuck in the same place year after year. It's a loop that plays on repeat, convincing them that change is too hard, that failure is inevitable, that maybe they're just not meant for more. It's not always obvious at first. It disguises itself as self-doubt, procrastination, or the need to be fully prepared before starting. It sneaks into thoughts quietly, making them hesitate before taking action, causing them to second-guess every decision. This cycle is self-sabotage, and it's one of the biggest reasons why people fail before they even begin. The mind is powerful, but it's not always on your side. It clings to old habits, fears, and limiting beliefs, repeating stories about why things won't work out. Sometimes it convinces you that success is for other people, that you're not smart enough, talented enough, or disciplined enough to achieve what you want. Other times, it feeds the idea that you're not ready yet, that the perfect time will come later, that taking risks is too dangerous. The result? Nothing changes. The same dreams remain unfulfilled, the same goals get pushed further into the future, and the same excuses keep playing on a loop. One of the most common ways people sabotage themselves is by setting impossible standards. They convince themselves that if something isn't done perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. Instead of starting where they are with what they have, they wait for the perfect conditions, the perfect timing, the perfect plan, but perfection never arrives. There will always be obstacles, always be unknowns, always be challenges that make things feel messy. The people who succeed aren't the ones who wait until everything is perfect. They're the ones who start despite the imperfections. Another form of self-sabotage is focusing too much on the outcome instead of the process. People become so fixated on the final result that they forget every big goal is built on small, consistent actions. When they don't see immediate progress, they assume they've failed. They start something new, but as soon as it gets hard, as soon as the results don't come fast enough, they quit. They move on to the next thing, hoping it will be easier, but the pattern repeats itself. Real growth happens when you commit to the process, even when it feels slow, even when it's frustrating, even when there's no visible progress yet. Fear is another way people hold themselves back. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of stepping into the unknown. It whispers doubts, making them question whether they're capable, whether they'll embarrass themselves, whether it's even worth trying. But fear only has power if you listen to it. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful felt fear. The difference is, they didn't let it decide their actions. They moved forward despite the uncertainty, knowing that the only real failure is never trying at all. Self-sabotage often comes in the form of distractions, disguised as productivity. People convince themselves they're making progress by researching, planning, or waiting for the right inspiration. They spend hours consuming information, reading about success, watching motivational videos, but never actually applying any of it. Knowledge without action is useless. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who know the most, they're the ones who do the most with what they know. It's easy to blame circumstances for why things aren't working out. The job is too demanding, the economy is bad, there's not enough time. But external obstacles are rarely the real problem. The biggest roadblocks are internal, the limiting beliefs, the excuses, the habits that keep people stuck. The moment you take full responsibility for where you are, is the moment you take control of where you're going. No one is coming to save you, no one is going to hand you the life you want. The only way forward is to stop waiting and start doing. Breaking the cycle of self-sabotage starts with awareness. Pay attention to the excuses you make, the fears that hold you back, the patterns that keep repeating. Notice when you're avoiding discomfort, when you're talking yourself out of taking action, when you're choosing what's easy over what's necessary. Once you recognize these patterns, you can challenge them. Instead of waiting to feel ready, act now. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for progress. Instead of fearing failure, see it as part of the process. The most successful people aren't the ones who never struggle with doubt or fear. They're the ones who refuse to let those things control them. They don't wait for motivation. They create it through action. They don't let failures define them. They use them as lessons. They don't let fear stop them. They use it as a sign they're heading in the right direction. You can either stay trapped in the cycle of self-sabotage, repeating the same mistakes, telling yourself the same excuses, living the same unfulfilled life, or you can break free by taking action, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when it's messy. The choice is yours. Chapter 4. Overthinking everything. How it kills action. The mind has a way of creating problems that don't exist. It takes simple decisions and turns them into endless debates. It replays past mistakes, like a broken record, magnifying what went wrong. It imagines every possible failure before anything even begins. This is the trap of overthinking, and it silently kills action, progress, and confidence. While thinking critically and planning ahead are valuable, there is a fine line between preparation and paralysis. Many people stay stuck because they spend too much time analyzing and too little time doing. There's a common belief that the more you think about something, the better decision you'll make. But overthinking rarely leads to better choices. It just leads to exhaustion. The more time you spend analyzing an option, the harder it becomes to act on it. You weigh the pros and cons over and over, searching for absolute certainty, but certainty never comes. Instead, you get stuck in a loop, questioning yourself until the opportunity passes. The result isn't better decision-making, it's inaction. The mind is constantly looking for problems, scanning for potential dangers, trying to protect you from mistakes. It assumes that by thinking everything through from every angle, you can avoid failure. But the reality is, no amount of thinking can guarantee a perfect outcome. Life is unpredictable. There will always be unknowns, and waiting until you have all the answers means you'll wait forever. The people who move forward aren't the ones who have all the information. They're the ones who decide to act despite uncertainty. One of the biggest dangers of overthinking is that it drains your energy before you even begin. Instead of using your mental power to take action, you use it to create doubts. You imagine all the ways things could go wrong, and by the time you're done, you feel too mentally exhausted to even try. You convince yourself that if you wait a little longer, if you think it through one more time, you'll feel more confident. But confidence doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. Most people don't realize how much time they waste stuck in their own heads. They sit on ideas for months or even years, waiting for the perfect moment. They want to be 100% sure before they start a business, change careers or take a risk, but nothing ever feels completely safe. The people who succeed aren't the ones who had zero doubts. They're the ones who moved forward despite them. They understood that clarity comes from action, not from thinking about action. The more you think about something, the scarier it becomes. Over-analyzing magnifies fears that wouldn't even exist if you had just started. A simple task can start to feel overwhelming when you break it down too much. Instead of taking the first step, you get lost in trying to figure out every possible obstacle ahead. But action removes fear. The moment you start doing, the worries start to fade because your brain shifts from anxiety to problem solving. You realize that most of the things you worried about weren't even real problems to begin with. Another way overthinking holds you back is by creating the illusion that you're making progress when you're actually standing still. You convince yourself that planning, researching and analyzing are steps forward. While preparation has its place, too much of it becomes a distraction. You don't need another book, another strategy, another perfect plan. You need to start. Execution beats endless preparation every time. The people who win aren't always the smartest or the most prepared. They're the ones who took action when others were still thinking about it. A big part of overthinking comes from a fear of making the wrong choice. You want to avoid mistakes, so you hesitate. But the truth is, no decision is perfect. Even the best choices come with risks. Waiting too long doesn't eliminate the risk, it just delays the outcome. And even if you do make a mistake, it's not the end of the world. Every failure is a lesson. Every wrong turn teaches you something you wouldn't have learned otherwise. The most successful people aren't the ones who never made mistakes. They're the ones who made decisions, learned from them and kept going. Breaking free from overthinking starts with recognizing when you're stuck in analysis mode. If you find yourself going back and forth on a decision for too long, set a deadline for yourself. Give yourself a time limit to make a choice, and then commit to it. If it's a small decision, make it in seconds, not minutes. If it's a big one, don't let it drag on for weeks. Most choices aren't as life-changing as they seem in the moment, and even if they don't go as planned, you can adjust along the way. The fastest way to silence overthinking is to take action. The moment you do something, even something small, your brain shifts from hesitation to momentum. If you're unsure about a goal, start working on it instead of thinking about it. If you're doubting whether you're ready, take a small step forward and see what happens. Once you start, the overthinking loses its power because you're too busy moving forward to keep doubting yourself. You have two choices: stay stuck in your head, analyzing, doubting, and waiting, or break free by doing. Overthinking will never give you the certainty you're looking for, but action will. The only way to truly know if something will work is to try. You don't need more time to think, you need more courage to act. Chapter 5. The Perfectionist's Lie. Why you're not starting. There's a belief that keeps people frozen in place, waiting for the right moment, waiting until they feel fully ready. It convinces them that anything less than perfect isn't worth doing. It whispers that if they can't get it exactly right, they shouldn't even try. This belief is the perfectionist's lie, and it's one of the biggest reasons why people never start. At first, perfectionism sounds like a good thing. It makes you believe that having high standards will push you to do your best, that refusing to settle for anything less than excellence is the key to success. But in reality, it does the opposite. Instead of pushing you forward, it holds you back. Instead of driving progress, it fuels procrastination. Instead of making you better, it stops you from even beginning. The fear of doing something imperfectly can be so paralyzing that many people never take the first step. They want every detail planned out, every problem solved in advance, every weakness eliminated before they begin. They tell themselves they need more time to prepare, more skills to develop, more confidence to build. But perfection is an illusion. No one starts as an expert. No great achievement was ever flawless from the beginning. The people who succeed aren't the ones who waited until they felt fully ready. They're the ones who took messy, imperfect action and figured things out along the way. One of the biggest traps of perfectionism is the constant need to fix, refine, and polish before moving forward. People spend weeks rewriting the same email, adjusting the same project, or tweaking the same idea without ever putting it out into the world. They keep making minor changes, thinking just one more adjustment will make it perfect, but nothing will ever feel completely right. The longer they wait, the more they doubt themselves, and the more they convince themselves that they're still not ready. Perfectionism often disguises itself as a pursuit of excellence, but deep down, it's just fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of looking like a beginner. The perfectionist mind would rather do nothing at all than risk being seen as anything less than flawless. But waiting until something is perfect is the fastest way to make sure it never happens. The only way to grow is to start before you're ready, to accept that mistakes are part of the process, and to understand that good enough is better than never done. Many people hold themselves back because they compare their beginning to someone else's mastery. They look at experts and assume that they've always been that way, forgetting that even the most skilled professionals were once amateurs. No one starts at the top. The best musicians once played off-key. The best writers once wrote poorly. The best athletes once stumbled. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent or luck. It's the willingness to be bad at something long enough to get better. Some people convince themselves that waiting for the perfect time will give them an advantage. They tell themselves that if they start later, they'll have more experience, more knowledge, or more resources. But the truth is, waiting only delays progress. The perfect time never comes. Life will always be messy. There will always be something that's not quite right, something that feels like an obstacle, something that makes you think, maybe I should wait just a little longer. But waiting doesn't build skill. Thinking about starting doesn't create results. Only action does. Mistakes are not proof of failure, they are evidence of progress. Every mistake teaches you something you couldn't have learned by standing still. The only way to improve is to do. The more you take action, the more you refine your skills, the more you understand what works and what doesn't. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid growth. If you only take action when you're sure you won't fail, you'll never take action at all. The most successful people embrace imperfection. They put their work out there even when it's not flawless. They take risks even when they're not fully prepared. They move forward even when they're uncertain. And because they do, they improve faster, they gain experience sooner, and they achieve results while others are still waiting. You don't need to be perfect to start. You don't need all the answers. You don't need absolute certainty. You just need to take the first step, no matter how messy, uncertain, or incomplete it feels. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll learn. The sooner you take action, the sooner you'll grow. And the sooner you accept that perfection is an illusion, the sooner you'll move forward. Chapter 6. The energy leak, wasting time on low-value distractions. Energy is your most valuable resource. It determines how much you can accomplish, how focused you stay, and how consistent you are in building the life you want. But most people don't lose energy all at once. It leaks out slowly, bit by bit, through distractions, unimportant tasks, and mindless habits that seem small but add up over time. They wake up feeling motivated, but by the time the day ends, they have nothing left for what truly matters. They blame exhaustion, but the real problem isn't a lack of energy, it's how they use it. There's a common belief that time management is the key to productivity, but managing time is pointless if your energy is being drained by the wrong things. Two people can have the same number of hours in a day, but one will move forward while the other stays stuck. The difference isn't time, it's where their attention and effort go. The mind has a limited capacity for deep work, and every distraction, every unnecessary worry, and every meaningless activity chips away at that capacity. A person who starts their day checking social media, engaging in pointless arguments, or jumping from one small task to another might feel busy, but they're not making real progress. They're scattering their energy instead of focusing it. One of the biggest ways people lose energy is by giving too much attention to things that don't move them forward. They check notifications the moment they wake up, respond to messages that don't need a response, and get caught up in whatever grabs their attention first. They react instead of taking control. By the time they sit down to work on something meaningful, they're already mentally drained. It's not because they've worked hard, it's because they've spent their energy on things that didn't matter. Mental clutter is just as draining as physical exhaustion. Worrying about things outside of your control, replaying past mistakes, and overanalyzing unimportant details all steal the energy you could be using to take action. Many people feel tired, not because they've done too much, but because they've wasted too much energy on thoughts and tasks that lead nowhere. They confuse busyness with effectiveness, filling their days with tasks that feel productive, but don't actually bring them closer to their goals. Distractions are designed to steal your attention. Every notification, every irrelevant email, every unnecessary conversation pulls you away from what's important. The more fragmented your focus becomes, the harder it is to get anything done. Shifting from one thing to another might feel like multitasking, but in reality, it slows you down. Your brain needs time to refocus every time you switch tasks, and those small moments of readjustment add up. By the end of the day, you've spent more time switching between distractions than doing meaningful work. Low-value habits drain more energy than people realize. Scrolling endlessly through social media, binge-watching shows without intention, and spending hours on entertainment don't just take time. They take focus and mental clarity. The more overstimulated your brain becomes, the harder it is to concentrate when it actually matters. These habits create a cycle where instant gratification replaces real progress. Instead of using free time to recharge with purpose, many people use it to escape, only to feel more exhausted afterward. Another hidden drain on energy is spending too much time with people who don't add value to your life. Constant negativity, unnecessary drama, and pointless debates consume more energy than most realize. Conversations that go in circles, arguments that serve no purpose, and interactions that leave you mentally exhausted all take away from what you could be using to grow. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to your time and attention. Learning to protect your energy from people who constantly take without giving back is one of the most important steps toward personal growth. Your environment also plays a role in how much energy you have. A cluttered space creates a cluttered mind. Noise, disorganization, and chaos in your surroundings make it harder to focus and easier to get distracted. The mind works best when it's not overwhelmed with unnecessary input. Simplifying your space, organizing your priorities, and eliminating distractions create an environment where your energy is used efficiently instead of being drained by unnecessary noise. One of the most powerful ways to stop energy leaks is by setting clear priorities. Not everything deserves your time, and not every opportunity is worth pursuing. Successful people aren't the ones who do the most, they're the ones who focus on what truly matters. They know that saying yes to everything means saying no to what's actually important. They protect their energy by being intentional with how they spend it. Building energy is just as important as conserving it. Sleep, movement, and proper nutrition are foundational. Many people look for motivation when what they actually need is better physical health. A tired body leads to a tired mind. Skipping sleep, neglecting exercise, and fueling the body with junk create unnecessary struggles. It's hard to be productive when you're constantly running on empty. Taking care of physical energy isn't just about health, it's about setting yourself up for long-term success. Making real progress requires eliminating energy leaks and being intentional with how you use your focus. Every moment spent on something meaningless is a moment taken away from something important. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't just effort, it's where that effort goes. Small changes in how you protect and direct your energy compound over time. The sooner you stop wasting it on things that don't matter, the faster you'll move toward the life you want. Chapter 7. The toxic thought patterns that secretly hold you back. The thoughts you have on a daily basis shape the reality you live in, whether you realize it or not. The mind, left unchecked, can easily wander into negative and unproductive spaces. It can create stories and narratives that limit your potential, tell you that you're not good enough, or convince you that success is out of reach. If you're not careful, these thoughts can become the invisible chains that hold you back. Without realizing it, you could be reinforcing beliefs that stop you from growing. These toxic thought patterns have the power to make you feel stuck, and they can prevent you from achieving what you're truly capable of. One of the most damaging thought patterns people fall into is the belief that they aren't capable of change. It's easy to look at your past mistakes or failures and let those moments define you. When you make a mistake, it's common to think, "I'll always be like this," or "I'm just not cut out for this." These thoughts don't reflect your true potential. They reflect a fixed mindset that holds you in place. You're not defined by your past, and you're not limited to the person you were yesterday. Change is constant, and growth is always within reach, if you allow yourself to believe it. The "I'm not good enough" thought pattern is another toxic belief that keeps people stuck. This idea creeps into your mind when you're faced with a new challenge or when you compare yourself to others. It tells you that you don't have what it takes, that you'll never measure up, or that success is reserved for others. But these thoughts are based on fear, not reality. Everyone starts somewhere, and nobody is born with all the answers. You don't need to be perfect to make progress. Your worth isn't determined by how much you've achieved or how others perceive you. The "I'm not good enough" thought pattern can hold you in a state of constant self-doubt and hesitation, preventing you from even trying. But the truth is, you are good enough. Another pattern that people fall into is the tendency to catastrophize. This is when your mind imagines the worst-case scenario at every turn. You worry that if something goes wrong, it will be the end of the world. You start small and build it up into something bigger, convincing yourself that failure is inevitable. This kind of thinking paralyzes you, making it harder to take risks or even try something new. It traps you in a cycle of fear and overthinking. You can't control everything, and things won't always go according to plan. But when you give in to the idea that the worst is going to happen, you're not leaving room for the possibility of success. In truth, most of the things we worry about never come to fruition. Your mind is constantly predicting doom, but it doesn't have to dictate your actions. Then there's the pattern of comparing yourself to others. In a world where social media shows the highlight reel of everyone's life, it's easy to feel like you're falling short. You look at other people's accomplishments, their success, and their seemingly perfect lives, and you feel like you're not measuring up. What you don't see are their struggles, their failures, and the hard work they put in behind the scenes. Comparison is a thief of joy. It distracts you from your own progress and makes you question your worth. Your journey is unique, and comparing it to someone else's will only make you feel like you're not enough. Self-limiting beliefs also come from negative stories that you've been telling yourself for years. Maybe you grew up hearing that you weren't smart enough, or that you would never be successful. These messages stick with you, and they become part of your internal dialogue. Over time, you begin to believe these false narratives, and they shape your actions or lack of actions. These stories aren't truth, they're just things you've internalized over time. What you believe doesn't have to be what's real. You can change the story. You can choose to believe that you are capable, that you have what it takes, and that your past doesn't define your future. To break free from these toxic thought patterns, you have to first recognize them. Awareness is the first step to change. When you catch yourself thinking negatively, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me move forward? Is this thought based in reality, or is it just fear speaking? Most of the time, the answer will be that the thought isn't grounded in truth. Once you start recognizing these toxic thoughts, you can challenge them. You don't have to accept everything your mind tells you. You can replace negative, limiting thoughts with empowering beliefs. Instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough," remind yourself, "I am enough, and I'm always growing." When you're tempted to catastrophize, tell yourself, "I can handle whatever comes my way." When comparison creeps in, remember that your journey is yours alone, and success comes in many forms. You can rewrite the stories that no longer serve you, and start telling yourself that you are capable of growth, change, and success. Positive affirmations and self-talk are powerful tools in breaking these toxic thought patterns. You don't have to wait until you feel confident to speak positively to yourself. In fact, you should do it when you don't feel confident. The more you repeat positive thoughts, the more your brain begins to believe them. Over time, these new thoughts become automatic, and the negative patterns lose their hold over you. Changing your mindset isn't easy, and it doesn't happen overnight. But the more you practice awareness and positive self-talk, the more you will begin to see shifts in your thinking. You will start to see opportunities instead of obstacles, and you will approach challenges with confidence instead of fear. You'll stop waiting for the perfect moment and start realizing that you already have everything you need to succeed. The toxic thought patterns that hold you back don't have to define your future. You have the power to change your thoughts, and in doing so you have the power to change your life. Recognize when these patterns arise, challenge them, and replace them with empowering beliefs. The more you do this, the stronger you will become, and the closer you'll get to the version of yourself that you've always wanted to be. Chapter 8. The Discipline Myth. Why you don't need more motivation. The idea of discipline is often misunderstood. When most people think about discipline, they imagine rigid schedules, constant self-control, and an endless grind. They picture a life where they have to force themselves to do things they don't want to do, pushing through every challenge with sheer willpower. The truth, however, is that discipline isn't about forcing yourself to act in a way that feels unnatural or burdensome. It's about creating habits that align with your long-term goals and values. When you build habits that serve you, discipline becomes a natural part of your life, not a struggle. One of the most common misconceptions is that discipline is about motivation. People wait for the right moment, the right burst of energy, or the right mood before they take action. But motivation is fleeting. It's like a wave that rises quickly and falls just as fast. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you'll often find yourself stuck, waiting for the right feeling to strike. But that's not the way forward. Discipline isn't based on feeling, it's based on doing. It's about making the choice to act, even when the motivation isn't there, because you know it's the right thing to do. Think about any area of your life where you want to improve, whether it's your health, your work, your relationships, or your personal growth. The real difference between those who succeed and those who struggle isn't motivation, it's consistency. Successful people don't wait for motivation to hit them, they create the habit of showing up every day, regardless of how they feel. Discipline, then, is about taking small, consistent actions that add up over time. The more you show up, the more automatic those actions become. Over time, they build on each other, leading you closer to your goals. It's important to realize that discipline is a skill, not an inherent trait. No one is born with perfect discipline. It's something you develop through repeated effort. Every time you make the choice to act instead of procrastinate, to follow through on a commitment, or to push through a challenge, you're strengthening your discipline muscle. Just like building any other skill, the more you practice, the better you get. And like any skill, it requires time, patience, and practice. It's not about being perfect, it's about staying consistent, even on the days when it's hard, or when you'd rather be doing something else. A big part of building discipline is creating the right environment for it. If you put yourself in situations that make it harder to stay disciplined, you're setting yourself up for failure. It's like trying to diet while surrounded by junk food, or trying to focus on work while your phone is constantly buzzing with notifications. The environment you create influences your ability to stay disciplined. The more distractions you remove, the easier it becomes to stay on task. Set yourself up for success by designing an environment that supports your goals, whether that's creating a dedicated space for work, turning off your phone during important tasks, or organizing your day to minimize distractions. Another key aspect of discipline is developing the ability to say no. You can't do everything, and if you try to, you'll spread yourself too thin. Learning to say no to things that don't serve your goals is an essential part of discipline. It's about prioritizing what matters most and making choices that align with your long-term vision. This can be one of the hardest aspects of discipline, especially when you're faced with requests from others or opportunities that seem appealing in the moment. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your goals, you're saying no to something that does. Being disciplined means being intentional with your time and energy. A common mistake is thinking that discipline is only required when things get tough. The truth is, discipline is necessary even when things are going well. In fact, maintaining discipline during periods of success is often harder than staying disciplined during struggles. When everything is going smoothly, it's easy to relax and let things slide. You start thinking, I've made it this far, I can afford to take a break. But it's in these moments that discipline matters the most. If you let your guard down during times of ease, you'll eventually slip back into old habits, and all the progress you've made could be lost. This is why successful people are disciplined, not just during tough times, but every day. They understand that consistency is key to long-term success. They don't let a few wins go to their heads and derail them from their path. Instead, they use their success as motivation to push even harder, staying disciplined even when they feel like they don't need to. They understand that discipline isn't a short-term strategy, it's a lifestyle. The biggest shift in thinking that allows you to build discipline is the realization that it's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about the bigger picture. Every decision you make today impacts your future. Every small action that you take, even when you don't feel like it, compounds over time and brings you closer to where you want to be. Discipline is about putting the long-term rewards ahead of short-term pleasures. It's about understanding that the discomfort you feel now will pay off in the future. One of the most effective ways to build discipline is to start small. Trying to overhaul your entire life in one day is overwhelming, and it's a setup for failure. Instead, focus on making small, manageable changes that you can build on. If you want to improve your health, start by eating one healthier meal a day. If you want to get more productive, commit to focusing on one task for 20 minutes without distraction. These small wins add up, and over time, you'll find that you've built a foundation of discipline that will support bigger goals. Another critical aspect of discipline is learning to embrace discomfort. In our fast-paced world, we're conditioned to avoid discomfort at all costs. We seek instant gratification and try to make everything as easy as possible. But true growth happens outside of your comfort zone. Discipline requires you to push through moments of discomfort, whether it's waking up early to work out, sitting down to study when you'd rather relax, or dealing with the discomfort of learning something new. Discomfort is part of the process, and the more you embrace it, the stronger your discipline becomes. The more you practice discipline, the more natural it becomes. Over time, actions that once felt like a struggle will become second nature. Discipline won't feel like a chore, but like a natural part of your daily routine. The key is to stay consistent, to show up every day, even when it's hard, and to trust that your small actions are adding up to something bigger. You don't need to rely on bursts of motivation or willpower. You just need to keep taking consistent, intentional steps toward your goals, and discipline will follow. Chapter 9. The Identity Crisis. How you're holding on to the old you. You've been where many people find themselves, caught between who they were and who they want to become. There's a tension in this place, a sense that you're not fully aligned with your true potential. Every time you make progress, there's an unconscious pull back to your old self, to your old habits, to what's comfortable, even if it no longer serves you. You might think that the person you are today defines you, that your identity is something fixed and permanent. But the reality is, your identity is a fluid, evolving thing, shaped by your actions, beliefs, and decisions. The struggle is in letting go of who you once were, in order to become who you are capable of being. And this is where many people get stuck. They don't realize that in order to grow they must change, and this means changing their self-image. It's hard to break away from your old identity because it's familiar. It's the story you've told yourself for years, the way you've seen yourself, and the way others have seen you. But if you want to move forward, if you want to unlock your true potential, you have to stop seeing yourself as who you were yesterday. You have to stop holding on to a version of yourself that no longer serves you. Whether it's the label you've put on yourself, I'm just not a morning person, I've never been good with money, I'm not a leader, those labels limit you, keep you trapped in a past that's no longer relevant. They bind you to an identity that doesn't reflect who you're becoming, only who you used to be. The first step to shifting your identity is to become aware of the story you've been telling yourself. The stories we tell ourselves shape how we view our capabilities and our future. If you're constantly telling yourself that you're bad at something, whether it's managing your time, sticking to a healthy routine, or being assertive, then you'll continue to show up as that version of yourself. The more you believe in that story, the more it becomes reality. It's important to ask yourself, is this story still serving me? Is this who I want to be? Or is this just a narrative I've accepted because it's comfortable? The truth is, the story can change. But first you have to consciously rewrite it. The second part of shifting your identity is taking small actions that align with the person you want to become. It's not enough to simply decide you're going to be different. Change requires more than just wishful thinking. It requires action. Every time you do something that aligns with your new identity, you reinforce that identity. If you've been telling yourself that you're not a disciplined person, but you take the action of showing up to work on your goals every day, you begin to reshape that belief. When you commit to things, when you follow through, you demonstrate to yourself that you are indeed capable of more. And the more you demonstrate that you can take these actions, the more the new identity becomes ingrained. This process isn't always easy. In fact, it can be uncomfortable. Growth always comes with a certain amount of discomfort. You'll face doubts, setbacks, and moments where you question if you're really capable of change. But this discomfort is part of the process. It's a sign that you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, and that's where true transformation happens. The key is to keep pushing through, to keep taking actions that align with your new identity, even when things feel uncertain. Over time, the discomfort will lessen, and the actions will feel more natural. Changing your identity also requires letting go of old associations. Think about the people, places, and things that reinforce the version of you that you're trying to outgrow. Maybe it's the friend who encourages you to stay in your comfort zone, or the environment that reminds you of old habits. The more you distance yourself from the people and things that keep you tied to your past, the easier it becomes to embrace the future version of yourself. This doesn't mean cutting off relationships or rejecting your past completely, but it does mean becoming more intentional about where you put your energy. If you want to grow, surround yourself with people and environments that support your new identity. One of the most powerful tools for reshaping your identity is visualization. Take a moment every day to close your eyes and picture the person you want to become. See yourself living your ideal life, making choices that align with your goals, and acting in ways that reflect the person you want to be. Visualization helps to make this new identity feel real, and the more you imagine yourself as the person you're becoming, the more you begin to believe it. You'll start to make decisions based on that vision, and the small actions you take each day will align with who you're becoming. Visualization also helps you to feel more confident in your new identity because you can see it playing out in your mind before it happens in reality. It's important to recognize that this process isn't a one-time shift, it's a continuous journey. You'll always be evolving. As you grow and accomplish your goals, new challenges will arise, and you'll need to continue shifting your identity to meet those challenges. The key is to stay fluid, to allow your identity to evolve with you as you progress. Don't lock yourself into one fixed idea of who you are. Embrace the idea that you're always in the process of becoming. Sometimes, the fear of change can hold you back. You might be afraid that if you let go of your old self, you'll lose something important, or that you won't be able to handle the new version of you. But the truth is, you're not losing anything valuable, you're gaining more of who you truly are. Your old identity may have served you in the past, but it's time to grow beyond it. The real you, the one who's capable of achieving all the things you want, is waiting to step forward. All you have to do is give yourself permission to release the old version of yourself and step into the new. As you continue this journey of self-discovery and transformation, remember that this is a process. There will be times when you slip back into old habits or fall short of your expectations. Don't let these moments define you or make you feel like you're not capable of change. Growth is not linear. You'll have setbacks, but they don't undo the progress you've made. What matters is that you continue to take action, that you keep showing up for the person you want to become. Your identity isn't something that's fixed in stone, it's something you can shape every single day. And as long as you keep choosing to align your actions with the person you're becoming, that identity will transform. The person you were yesterday is not the person you have to be tomorrow. The power to change, to reinvent yourself, is always within you. Chapter 10. The I'll do it alone mistake. Why you need the right people. When you're trying to build something new, whether it's a business, a healthy lifestyle, or a personal goal, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking you have to do it all on your own. The idea of self-reliance has been ingrained in us for so long that we start to believe we're weak or incapable if we need help. But the truth is, no one gets to their goals alone. The people you surround yourself with will either lift you up or hold you back. The right people, those who support your growth, can make all the difference. The first thing you need to understand is that relying on others doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. Think about the greatest achievers in history. They didn't get where they are by going it alone. Every successful person, from athletes to business leaders to artists, has had a team around them, a team that supported, challenged, and pushed them to do more than they thought they were capable of. They had mentors who shared wisdom, colleagues who offered guidance, friends who provided encouragement, and loved ones who believed in them even when they doubted themselves. If these people needed help, what makes you think you don't? Yet, many people hesitate to ask for help because they fear judgment or rejection. It's uncomfortable to be vulnerable, to admit you don't know everything or can't do everything by yourself. But vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a strength. Being able to acknowledge that you need others shows that you're aware of your own limitations and are actively seeking to grow beyond them. The moment you release the idea that you should do everything alone is the moment you open yourself up to the possibility of exponential growth. You'll be amazed at how much faster you can progress when you're not carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders alone. In every area of life, there's power in community. Think about it. If you're trying to get healthier, it's much easier to stick to a fitness routine when you have a workout buddy, someone who holds you accountable and shares in the struggle. Or maybe it's a business goal, having a partner or a mentor who can offer insights, challenge your ideas, or simply provide support can make a world of difference. The same goes for your personal growth. Surround yourself with people who push you to be better, who won't let you settle for mediocrity, who are willing to hold a mirror up to you and help you see the areas where you need to improve. Having the right people around you is not just about finding those who support you, though. It's also about finding those who challenge you, the people who encourage you to think bigger, act bolder, and push further than you would on your own. Often, we surround ourselves with people who are comfortable to be around, people who share our same views and habits, the ones who never challenge us to think differently. But this kind of environment doesn't promote growth. It keeps us stuck in the same patterns, comfortable in our little bubbles, without pushing us toward the next level. That's why it's crucial to actively seek out people who will challenge you, who will question your assumptions, and who will help you see things from a different perspective. A friend who tells you everything you want to hear isn't necessarily your friend. They're just someone who wants to maintain a comfortable relationship. But the people who truly have your best interest at heart are the ones who are willing to push you to grow, even if it's uncomfortable. They're the ones who won't let you settle for less than what you're capable of. It's also important to remember that the people you choose to spend your time with should inspire you to be better. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are negative, who have a victim mentality, who aren't striving for anything beyond the status quo, that energy will seep into your own mindset. The people around you influence your thoughts, your attitudes, and your actions more than you realize. If you want to grow, you need to make a conscious decision to surround yourself with people who have a growth mindset themselves. People who see challenges as opportunities, not obstacles. People who are constantly learning and evolving. People who aren't afraid to fail because they know failure is just a part of the process. When you surround yourself with these kinds of people, you will naturally be motivated to step up your own game. It's not just about finding the right people, it's also about being the right person. If you want to attract the kind of people who will help you grow, you have to first be someone who is committed to growth yourself. People who are always complaining, blaming others, and making excuses will attract more of the same. But people who take responsibility for their actions, who are constantly looking for ways to improve, will attract like-minded individuals who are on the same path. The energy you put out into the world is the energy you'll get back. If you want to attract people who are supportive, encouraging and challenging, you have to show up that way in your own life. This doesn't mean that you have to have a massive network or be surrounded by hundreds of people. In fact, quality over quantity is key. A few close, trusted individuals who genuinely support your growth can be far more valuable than a whole group of acquaintances who don't have your best interests at heart. You don't need to have everyone in your corner, just the right people. When you find those people, hold on to them. Build relationships that are based on trust, respect, and mutual growth. And remember, the right people may not always be the ones who you expect. Sometimes, growth comes from the most unlikely sources. It could be a mentor who you never imagined you would connect with, or a peer who shares a different perspective that forces you to rethink everything. Keep an open mind. Stay open to learning from anyone and everyone, because you never know who might have the insight that will change your life. When you learn to build a network of people who help you grow, who challenge you, and who believe in you even when you struggle to believe in yourself, you're setting yourself up for lasting success. But if you continue to isolate yourself, to try to do everything alone, you're only limiting your own potential. We all need a little help from time to time, and there's no shame in asking for it. In fact, it's the wise and humble ones who recognize that they can't do it alone. The key is to surround yourself with people who are invested in your growth, and to be someone who brings value to others as well. At the end of the day, we are all products of the people we spend time with. So, choose wisely. Invest in relationships that push you to become the best version of yourself, and be willing to invest in others. Because when you surround yourself with the right people, you'll not only grow faster, but you'll enjoy the journey much more.